welcome to Sprinkle Some Love with a Cause by Trisha Mullin. Today we have Kathleen Grint here today to talk about interstititis. Hello, Kathleen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So if you kind of want to start with your journey about when you first noticed something wasn't really right with your body, but you weren't quite diagnosed yet.
Sure. So mine actually starts when I was a little kid. I wet the bed. I slept very, very soundly and wouldn't wake up. I remembered that mainly because when I finally got to the specialist, he asked me about that. We lived about 2 hours away when I was 6 and 7 years old, and I could not make the 2-hour car ride. My parents would have to stop along the way so I could use the restroom.
Okay.
I struggled greatly, even as a little bitty kid, and they just would, joke about me having a tiny bladder. As I aged, sometimes I would notice that I would have urgency, but it was always just put down as, oh, you've probably got a bladder infection. So I'd go on a round of antibiotics. And then when I had my last baby, who was a surprise, things really got diagnosed. I was 30 when I got pregnant with my third child.
Okay.
And at that point, 2 years after I had her, I was having horrific urgency, frequency. I knew where every bathroom was in any store that I went to. And if I didn't know, I didn't go to that store. And went to a specialist, my gynecologist, who said that I had prolapsed my my uterus. He sent me downstairs to a urologist who thought that I had also prolapsed my bladder, given all of my symptoms, and they scheduled me to have a hysterectomy and bladder tuck at 32 years of age. So I had that surgery, didn't really notice that much of a difference, although it did kind of ease off for a few years. And then I had started, I'm in healthcare. I'm a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
So I had started working for a company named Cerner. They do the electronic medical records, and was having just horrible UTI, I thought. There was blood when I was peeing. And we had a clinic on campus where I worked, so I went to that provider, and there were no leukocytes in my urine, and there was no culture that came back positive, so I did not have a UTI, and this doctor was the first one who was like, I think you need to go see a specialist if you're having that amount of blood in your urine. So she sent me to see Dr. Charles Buttrick.
And what state is that in?
Yeah, I actually went to see him speak as a nurse practitioner at a women's health conference. And then, funny enough, a few years later, I'm sitting in his office.
Oh, that is an odd.
Right. I was having horrible pain and burning and urgency. Like I said, lots of blood. And he asked me a few questions, and he asked me about my childhood. I told him, how often I would have to pee. And he said, you have interstitial cystitis. And it was like, what?
Right, just by a conversation?
Yes, I worked emergency medicine, and I had never heard of that.
Okay.
So,
and what state are you in at this point in your life? Where were you currently residing?
Kansas. Right outside of Kansas City.
Okay.
So Dr. Buttrick works out of Overland Park, Kansas. So he scheduled me for the cystoscopy, and I had 7 Hunter ulcerations on diagnosis. So I was in the operating room within a week. And a week after that, no more pain, no more urgency, no more frequency. It was like a miracle. So since then, I have had several of the fulgurations, which is where they go in and laser off the little Hunter ulcers.
Mm-hmm.
I use a medicine called Urabel, which helps with the pain frequency. It's Tylenol for your bladder, is what I like to call it.
Okay.
And then I will take, when I'm having a flare, amitriptyline, which is actually a tricyclic antidepressant, but it works really well for pain control.
Yes, I've been on amitriptyline before as well.
Yes. The downside is it makes you very, very sleepy, and it does make me kind of have a sleep hangover. So,
true story.
Yeah, I can't live on that because I work for a living, and I can't be falling asleep on my patients. So, it's still a struggle. I had my last surgery was 2 years ago, May 8th, and I have been pretty much not, it was a godsend. I spent over 2 years completely flare-free, and then this past week went into a flare. But got back into Dr. Buttrick's office. The nurse practitioner checked me out. I do not have any there was no blood, so I don't have any current ulcers. And she did the bladder cocktail and got that flare under control. So I'll be going back for weekly cocktails for a while just to get everything kind of healed up.
So are you talking about the bladder, like the bladder installations cocktails?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. I know about those. That's like the Marvicaine and the
heparin.
Okay, yep, the cocktail. Okay. For sure. All right. So I definitely know that those help a lot firsthand, definitely. Amitriptyline, definitely sleepy. And then the procedure, so this doctor's real good. Like, he's just been on it. Like, I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of floored.
Yeah, I got so lucky getting referred to him. That whole office has just been a godsend.
Yes.
The last one that I had was awful. Because the Hunter ulceration kind, you get these sores that form on the bladder wall, and as your bladder fills up with urine, they crack open. So that's what causes
I never
the horrible pain
knew
and
that there
bleeding.
was a Hunter kind. That's kind of new to me, but I don't know everything about interstistitis, to be honest.
Yes, it's
but I have ulcers.
N-N-E-R.
I've had ulcers, but so is there any other IC that has ulcers with it? I thought ulcers just came as like, I kind of thought that was normal once you get to a certain stage or point.
No.
Really?
So the Hunter ulceration form is different than just plain old interstitial cystitis. The interstitial cystitis is just that inflammation of the bladder wall, which is still horrifically painful.
So what about the bladder wall? Because my bladder wall dissipates and is almost gone. Like, it was gone. Like, I don't know. So multiple times.
And that's why the heparin installations and things are so important, because the heparin kind of coats that bladder.
Yeah.
And helps build back that lining.
I used to go 2 days a week on a regular for years straight, and years until I kind of quit everything.
Well, and I, on diagnosis, also had to do pelvic floor physical therapy.
Me too. And my pelvic floor wall dropped.
Inflamed, and it inflames those pelvic floor muscles, and that one is really easy to diagnose. You think that you're having burning and urgency with urination, but if you're actually doing a physical exam, the pain, if you touch about an inch below your urethra, that's actually where the pain is.
Right, okay.
It's not coming out of your urethra. That's not the burning.
Right.
It's just referred pain from that pelvic floor.
Right, so my pelvic floor wall has dropped before, and I had to have like surgery and have it fixed.
Yep.
As well, and then the bladder. I've had so many bladder surgeries. I don't even know how many, because every time we go in for like at the time for endometriosis or adenomyosis to do like the lasering for those and the removal of those, I would get some type of work on my bladder or a clamp or some type of procedure with that skin that's kind of like beneath the bladder and that cord, like where the uterus and stuff sits. There's like that skin piece, whatever it's called. Yeah, I would have procedures on that like several times. So it's like I never knew though these ulcers. Like, I'm really floored at that too. Like that's different. I really want to look into that now. I've kind of just learned something new here, and that's kind of hard.
Yeah, well, and there's a couple of ways to treat it. My doctor does fulguration, which is they actually use a laser and zap it off, and then it
so we've done that
to a scab. The scab comes off, and then you've got fresh, healthy skin underneath it. Or you can go in and inject them with triamcinolone, which is a steroid, and the steroid helps them heal up.
Yeah, I never did the steroid. I did do like the laser stuff, like whenever we were in for endometriosis and adenomyosis, they would also do whatever to my bladder
Yes.
and do all of that and laser everything off. And then on the inside, there was another, I can't remember, I want to pull out my medical files later and look at this. There was another procedure I had done with my bladder on the inside, but it wasn't the Marvican and stuff. It was something else that they put in my bladder. Like, it was 2 different times I had it. And it was for the ulcers specifically, almost like a medication or of some sort. And it helped. It helped. I don't remember what it was called. I want to look into that now. But it helped for the ulcers. And it helped get rid of those. But I honestly just kind of thought that that was from the interstititis, or now that I like talked to other people, I haven't found anybody else that has those except you. So I kind of was wondering if it had come from like my adenomyosis or like one of my other diseases, perhaps.
Maybe.
You know, because I also had ulcers in my stomach. From the gastroparesis, and I have IBS. So I was like, oh, well, I mean, there's those ulcers all the way around, all up in there. So, I mean, it's kind of like a combo, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, so now I want to look into what this Hunnins, I want to, can you spell that? So for those of us that want to look into that.
Hunner.
Hunner. Ooh, sorry, I had to move something. Hunner. Okay.
And that's just, just the form I have, which is kind of miserable, but
yes.
But, at least we found good doctors, right?
I need one. I have not yet. Actually, when I quit in 2018 on my gynecologist doctor from a procedure he did wrong, they were also managing my IC. So when I walked away, I didn't really realize how much I was walking away from, because he had other like affiliates in his office that would handle all of those things. But his whole office, when I walked away as a whole. And they had treated multiple diseases of mine, and I'm just now on the mission to re-seek treatments for these conditions and to move forward with what's next type of thing, and finding doctors that are equipped to deal with whatever is next. That's been the real journey. Because out here in Michigan, there's not that many doctors that are equipped for some of these rare diseases. And then the ones that are, I've already seen, been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I would highly recommend a urogynecologist if you can find one that has that specialty. It has made all the difference in the world seeing Dr. Buttrick.
Yes, I will be looking into that too. I actually was hoping to help others with this podcast, but I think I might have helped myself a little bit.
You know what? We all got to help each other.
Yeah, and trying to figure out our body and learn our body, like you can't learn what you don't know until you come across somebody that A has it, or an internet article of somebody that A shared their story. It's kind of hard.
I'm getting a ton of help from the Facebook group.
Yes, those groups.
That's where I found about the marshmallow root, and I ordered the marshmallow root capsules. I do think they help.
Oh, let's talk about those. I've heard reviews on it, but I haven't actually run into somebody who's done it. So why did you?
The only thing that I've noticed kind of an immediate reaction to it, within 2 days, I could tell a difference. And I did order also the aloe vera capsules. I'm going to try those.
I've heard good reviews. I did a podcast the other day with a lady in the evening time, and she talked about those, and she still continues those, and she is very faithful on those.
Yeah, and I got very lax. Being in remission for 2 years, I got some really bad habits. So now that I've gotten my first flare since then, I've pulled out all of my IC diet stuff.
So you're
peppermint tea and cleaning the diet up.
So what would you recommend to those who don't really know much about this? Because I actually have several different girls that I interviewed that recently just got diagnosed and are very lost. So they're really tuned in right now to this podcast. So what would you recommend as an not the elimination diet? I know you'd be starting that, but what have you noticed helps you, like those peppermint things, and you're interested in the aloe, but what else did you name? What was that first one you named, and why did you take that?
I do the Nature's Way marshmallow root capsules, 2 of those twice a day, twice in the morning, twice at night. And what the marshmallow root does is it's called mucilage. It just makes kind of a coating that covers your entire intestinal tract. So it's supposed to be very effective with IBS, but it also helps coat the bladder. And I really have noticed a difference since I've been taking that in relief.
I'm interested.
Yeah, aloe vera capsules, they've actually got quite a bit of evidence on that for GI health and bladder health in general. So I have not taken those yet. I just got a notification from Amazon that it got delivered. So I'm going to start the aloe vera capsules. I can't drink any kind of regular tea. So I used to live on Earl Grey tea, and it bothers my bladder way too much. So I do peppermint tea instead, and that is one of the recommended things to drink on the IC diet. There are, if you just Google IC diet, there are food lists that tell you, yes, it is good for IC. One column is try it, which might bother you, might not. It depends on the person. And the other one are things to avoid, which would be, alcohol, caffeine, chocolate can be a big trigger for a lot of people, spices, tomatoes, orange juice. So some of those things, I definitely cannot do regular orange juice. I have to
Me
do
neither. That's
low
too acid. Yeah, I was gonna say regular orange is too acidy.
Yeah. And even the low acid I can only do sparingly. I can't drink much of it. So there are definite trade-offs, but by and large, I mean, I love oatmeal, I love blueberries. There's still a lot of foods that I love that are on that list, so I'm pretty lucky, and most of the fruits and vegetables don't bother me at all.
Okay.
I don't even think tomato really bothers me. One of my biggest triggers is barbecue. And not just barbecue sauce. You would think it was only the barbecue sauce that would bother you. It's the actual smoked meat. It really is a flare for me.
I thought I was crazy because I have like the GP and gastroparesis as well. Mm-hmm. So all meat I've noticed has bothered me, but I knew like barbecue meat just really flared my bladder more, and I always thought something odd about that. But I was like, no, it's just, maybe what I drink with that meat.
Well, I'm wondering if it's not, because I do have wood smoke allergies. And I'm wondering if it's not the wood smoke allergies, because they think that part of interstitial cystitis, that part of it is an autoimmune component.
It is.
But that also there's an allergy component to it, because that's why you do like hydroxyzine as an allergy medication. It stops that mast cell production. I actually was on a medication, and I'm not saying not to try it, but at one point my IC was so severe, they put me on a drug called cyclosporin, which is an anti-rejection drug. You take it if you've had a kidney transplant, for example, thinking that it knocks down that autoimmune, auto-rejection type thing with your bladder, but it actually injured my pancreas, and it caused diabetes in me. Now, thank goodness it was transient diabetes, and as soon as I stopped the drug, my pancreas started healing itself, but it was really scary. So
that sounds very scary.
I can't tolerate that medication. For those that can, I honestly don't know if it helps or not, because I couldn't take it, and I just stayed away from it. But so there's definitely an allergy component, an autoimmune component. So I think that the diet is really important. I've heard that people that have severe allergies, that their allergy, if they treat their allergies, that it helps cut down their flares.
Okay. See, I recently just earlier did an interview right before you with a girl who talked about the allergy meds, and that was actually the first time I heard allergy meds being given for it as well. And I'm like, But if they think it has something to do with allergy related to some people, I mean, it would help do the process of elimination, But once you have the actual IC, those allergy meds, it's not going to cure it. What would it really, how much Band-Aiding does it do?
So what it does is, when your body is exposed to an allergen, you have a type of cell in your body called a mast cell, that your body produces these, and then you start pumping out histamine. This is why you take antihistamines. So what the thought there is, once those mast cells get energized, if you will, by the allergens, that causes the flare, causes your bladder to start reacting.
Okay.
And your gut. They think that there might be some mast cell interaction in the gut itself. And none of this is tried and true. This is all theoretical.
Yes, but depending on the case, I could see that being a possibility.
Yeah, and that's why they think that things like hydroxyzine, fisterol, those types of basically they're antihistamines, help with the interstitial cystitis. Again, they cause drowsiness. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my big takeaway with that is you do have to do some experimentation, which can be very frustrating, especially if you've just been diagnosed, you're in a flare. When I got diagnosed, I was literally peeing every 15 minutes around the clock.
Yes.
I was so exhausted. I was having short-term memory issues. I was so tired.
I feel that way too. Like the other night, I went pee like 8 times, and then I'm like, it's morning already.
Yeah, it's miserable.
And then all day that day, I can't think straight. I feel like I woke up on the left side of the bed per se, and nothing was in its right predicament. Nothing was where it was supposed to be.
You're always tired. You're cranky. You're in chronic pain. It's depression. I mean, it really does cause depression and hopelessness. You wonder if you're going to have to be like this forever. And I know that I have been through that. I've been through rounds of that before. It's hard. But if you get all the right people in place and have a support system, I think that's the most important thing. I think the most beneficial thing that I went through was the pelvic floor physical therapy.
Yeah, the pelvic floor physical therapy did help me a lot, and so did the installations a lot with those cocktails. Definitely made a big change. And then I felt like the procedures did do good, but I always had to keep repeating them. So I never understood why, and I always blamed it on like my secondary issues, maybe like the adenomyosis or interstitial, like not the endometriosis or one of the other issues I had. But every time that we would go in, we would have to fix something or do something or fix or laser off this, or there was a cyst or a tumor or things would be attached to the outside of the bladder as well. And so I would just always naturally try to say my bladder's not that bad, or I don't, but then once I came to the realization that this is what's going on, and that it is bad, and I need to kind of do something, it was real hard at first to do.
It is hard. And it's so many lifestyle changes. I mean, I think that I call this, I personally call IC a disease of inconvenience. You are constantly having to stop. We were on family vacation in Colorado one year, and I was in such a horrific flare, I flew home. I couldn't drive home. It was awful. I mean, we would have been stopping constantly, and the anxiety surrounding it just wasn't worth it.
Right, and not knowing where a bathroom is every time I need to stop.
Yeah, I had my husband drop me off I booked a flight on my phone and had him drop me off at the Denver airport. I flew home and they finished the drive because I couldn't do it. So there is a lot of anxiety around it. When I worked for Cerner, I traveled extensively, pretty much weekly. And when you would go up in the plane and the plane would pressurize, your bladder is like a balloon, so there would be pain. There was always that anxiety of, you can't get up to go to the bathroom before takeoff. You have to be buckled in, and then when you're getting ready for landing, that could be another 45 minutes that you cannot get up and go to the bathroom. So there's just a lot of anxiety around it for me. There's anxiety around trips. There's anxiety around a lot of things. And I think that's the most troublesome for me, is just the inconvenience of it. I got up and did demos in front of crowds for hospitals and organizations. So one of the worst things that ever happened from this entire disease, it had nothing to do with pain or anything else. pounds. I could not finish a demo. I had to put a pause on my demo and go to the restroom. And I just felt humiliated.
That takes away your dignity and like if that's your profession and you're not able to properly perform it, it's not like you can.
I don't think anybody in the room cared.
No, but it's not like you can ask the audience, "Hey, hold on a moment while I go to the bathroom."
Exactly.
I thought that the other day in the middle of a podcast, and I was really hesitant to figure out a bucket, and I was like, "Okay, well, I've just got to find a way to rush this person and end this podcast because something's not gonna I'm not gonna be able to hold it any longer."
I know, it's miserable.
So I just recently was stuck there, I have a whole bathroom right here.
And I'm pretty open about it now. I mean, I'm 54. I don't care anymore. I have a bladder disease, and I've got to go.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of one of my comments, like self-jokingly. I pee 1,000 times a day.
I say that too, and I'm very open about it now. I know in my younger days I wasn't always open about it, and just like you as a child, I was a bedwetter, and I was often told no this or that, or and they didn't have even a diagnosis when I was a child for those, just like they didn't have when you were a kid.
No, not at all. Yeah, I was. I'm trying to think back of how many years it has been. I know it's been less than 10 years. So, I mean, I spent the bulk of my life completely undiagnosed, not having any idea what was wrong with me.
Yes, me too. More than half. More than half of my life at this point. I went without a diagnosis, and then we went through the stage of, okay, you're not a liar, there's a name, but there's no treatment yet. The FDA hasn't quite caught up to us. And then, hey, the FDA caught up. These are the options. And then, once I did all of those, they didn't really work. And then it was like, okay, now what? Oh, well, these are the surgeries. Oh, the surgeries didn't work. Let's go back to those same non-working pills. Okay. Oh, those still don't work. Oh, let's go back to those surgeries. Oh, that still didn't work. Let's tic-tac-toe back and forth between these meds or this surgery or that surgery. But I still haven't actually found the resolution to the full issues. Of course, there never will be, but I kind of feel like the bacteria levels of are a big sign. And I feel like if we look into the bacteria levels, if we look into like you said, the autoimmune, if we look into some more, there needs to be more looking into, or more Band-Aid medications, because these not like a one-size-fits-all Band-Aid, and it kind of depends on your situation and what stage you're in. And some of these regimens work for some, and some of them don't work for severe others, and the severe are the ones that are going without the proper treatments, and they're the ones that need it the most.
I know. That's really upsetting. And I hear so many people that are they don't do physical floor therapy.
They're scared of it. They think I'm getting fingered at the doctor's office. And it's that's not the case. I just did a whole podcast with a girl who was really, really willing to be open about the physical floor therapy, so we could get more awareness out there. And it was very brave of her. And her and I even opened up a little bit with her. But physical floor therapy has helped a lot. And so has the bladder cocktails. Catheters is something people are like, oh no. But those catheters were an oh no, at first. But then they became an oh yes, I got to go to that appointment. Oh, that's going to make me feel better. We identify differently over time. I mean, just like no one likes dialysis, but after so long they realize that's helping me. So you find them at dialysis on a regular, regardless. And of course, it's because they need it for their life. But at the same time, it's because they also feel better when they get it. So they look forward to their appointment. So for those of you who have not decided to try any of those options and are like, no, I'm too scared, I definitely would try, because it has helped.
And once you get there, I mean, I don't know about your experience, but my pelvic floor physical therapist was wonderful. She made me feel so comfortable and I'm not a Barbie doll by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, I am 54 years old. Gravity has not been kind. She never once made me feel uncomfortable at all. I mean, it was a body part that needed help. And coming from a medical background, I agree with her. I mean, I'm not judging anybody's body when they're in my exam chair. So I don't know why I felt so weird about it myself, but it was a wonderful experience. And she gave me so many tips and tricks, and I mean, just the trigger point and all the things that she did to help. It gave me so much pain relief. It was unbelievable. I do still have trouble riding in cars for any long distance, and I think that's just life. I mean, the people with IC do struggle with that because of the bumps in the road. But yeah, I think that's been very helpful. I have heard some people talking about the use of medical marijuana or CBD.
I'm a marijuana
state where that is legal, so I don't know.
I am too, and I am a medical marijuana user. It is one of the only medications I do take instead of a duffel bag of like 50 pills.
Does it help?
It helps me with all of my diseases, and it does help me with my bladder. Honestly, I wasn't a marijuana lover my whole life. I grew up around it. I knew and had family that was indulged in it. But it wasn't really for me. I would, as a teenager, I indulged here and there, but when I got sick, and I realized, like, this might help, I decided to start smoking, and I was able to eat again. I was able to hold down food. I was able to use the bathroom again. I noticed a whole relief of pain through my body that was just detoxed and gone. I noticed that the bladder was, like, one of those issues that wasn't really as big of a deal for me at that point. It helped me be able to relax, and that pain and that nerve and that muscle you feel like that you constantly are tightening when you're feeling that pain.
Yes.
And that you're constantly feeling when you feel the pressure, you apply pressure back without even trying, but it's a reflex in a way. I was able to not focus on that and release and relief, kind of like, so when you're doing the pelvic floor stuff and it relieves that pressure and pain, that's okay, that's good. And then later we're able to perform in bed and have sex because we feel like we're less, like it doesn't hurt as bad. So it takes away those pains. Well, with the marijuana, it kind of helped me a lot to be able to relax in that same manner with my bladder. And in the bedroom, I was able to relax a lot more too, just because, I don't know, it's like we don't have control of our body in every way, and when we tighten those muscles for so long and for so many years straight like that, it's just hard to untighten those muscles and to untighten everything that's been so tight forever, because like you're constantly squeezing it because you're constantly in pain, or you're constantly...
Yeah, you literally have to relearn how to work your body.
Yes, and it's learning muscles you don't even know you had to learn how to work, because it's kind of like we don't even learn how to open and close our eyes. Like, babies wake up and they just do it naturally.
Right.
We now would have to think, like, we have to literally focus. Breathing is a natural thing for many people unless you have a lung condition, and with a lung condition, of course, you're going to need some help breathing. It's not going to be so natural. So it's kind of like the same thing with peeing, or, just being able to know when I have to pee. Or to be able to stop the pee from coming out, like leakage, or, all of those wonderful things that come with this disease.
Well, Kansas is working on getting medical marijuana passed, but we're way behind the times. Missouri has already passed some medical stuff, no recreational, but...
So I'll give you another...
Next year or so, Kansas will have something on the books.
So I
have heard miracle stories about it.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be adverse to trying it.
Well, here are my opinions. So since you are a newbie, and I realize that, I'm going to give you, there's 3 different categories of, well, there's more than 3, but these are the top 3 that I would choose. So you have, like, the way you could eat it, you could smoke it, or you could apply it. Basically, well, to me, I would want to drink it because in a liquid form, like they have this marijuana Kool-Aid, and the Kool-Aid and the THC actually sticks to your bladder wall. CBD doesn't affect the same way as THC does. And then when you do a drug test, the drug test is specifically from a urine test, is testing the water that the THC levels because it stays in your bladder wall. How some people fake a drug test is they try to knock off that THC off the bladder wall and get it gone before they get into the drug test. But for us, we want that positive test. We want that to stay right there, buddy. Just soak it on up. So the THC does wonders for the bladder wall. And when I quit getting the bladder installations is when I started smoking marijuana, and I actually haven't gone back to those. But I've also had lots of procedures along the way and different things, so I can't really say whether it was the marijuana, but I know on the daily, what I could daily see and like my daily pain and that pressure and the daily issues, whenever I smoke marijuana, they're different. And like on days that I don't have marijuana, my whole body, I feel it. The pain more, I feel the burning more, I feel the pressure more, the bladder, when it's empty, that feeling that you get, when the ulcers are like hitting the air. Yeah, that's different than the regular IC pain, and you can definitely tell the difference between the two.
Absolutely.
So I don't feel the ulcer pain when I'm on marijuana. I sometimes still feel the IC pain once in a while. It'll seep through because I'm never going to get rid of that. But the marijuana, when the THC is over those ulcers on the wall, it's like eliminating the boundaries between me and it, and I no longer have the struggles and pain that it would have caused me, because it's like there's a wall between me and it, and it's invisible. It's still probably there growing.
And we desperately need to research, medically, we need to research
THC
and all of its implications in pain control. But wouldn't it be amazing if in a year or two we could do like bladder cocktails?
I want a bladder cocktail so bad with marijuana in it. But I don't know what it's going to do, and I don't know how to do it to myself, and I don't know anybody that'll do it to me. So,
it would need to be controlled, and there would need to be clinical trials to see if it was effective or not.
I thought I was the only one that thought that. Like, that would feel so good if I had marijuana in my bladder. Like when I say stuff like that, my husband would be saying, like, "You're crazy, girl," or he'd be laughing at me, but I am so serious. Like, I wasn't high when I said that. I put some real thought into that. Like, there wasn't just a high on thought. I wasn't even high. Like, I was enjoying the pain-free moment, and I was just wondering how I could make this everlasting.
I know.
Or get it quicker.
People that have not experienced this kind of chronic pain don't know the terror of it coming back, first of all. The terror that we live in, that we're having a flare. I know when if I drink, I can't drink alcohol. It's a huge trigger for me.
Never. Can't.
It has to be a huge special occasion to make it worth the pain.
Correct.
I fake it. The last time I drank was when my son was getting married. His bride-to-be did a party bus, and I did have wine on that. And, and I even said that. I mean, this is worth the pain. Because I want to enjoy her bachelorette party thing that we did. But, I mean...
I've never really been able to drink, and I would fake it. I always would go to like parties with my husband, and they're all young, and I would get they're all having parties, so I would get those Mike Hard lemonades, and I would eventually like dump half and make it look like I drank half, but I'd carry it around in my hand because I would get so sick of everyone trying to offer me something or trying to ask me why you don't, or how come, or oh, you just want to not drink, like, oh, fun.
And they all think that you're an alcoholic, and that's why you're not drinking.
I never thought about it like that.
I want to drink so badly, but I can't.
My thought sometimes is they're the alcoholics. Look at all of them drinking. We have the same thought about each other.
Oh, God, yeah.
But it's
a crazy ride.
It's definitely a roller coaster, and it's had its ups and its downs. And through its ups, who has been your support system? Like, has helped you up out of all of this and support you through it?
My daughter, mainly, and husband, they have, they tease me, but they understand how frustrating it is. Especially because they're mainly the ones that are on the car rides on vacation. So they know how hard it is. I've got a couple of close friends that they too they've heard me cry. That's
So
for
they're
sure.
they're a good listening ear.
Yeah, they really are, and they understand. They don't have it and can't know what it's like, but they've got their issues too. I mean, I think that's theirs. Everybody's got their cross to bear, and
Mm-hmm.
this one's mine. But I work pretty hard not to let it
Define you.
control my life. Yeah, I mean, I work long hours, and it's a pretty intense job. So that does kind of take my mind off of it too. I mean, I have to get up and keep going regardless. So
Yeah.
there have been, I had, I about had a breakdown during COVID. To be honest, I mean,
Well, let's
it was
talk
a
about
struggle.
that.
Yeah, it was awful. I mean, my patients at the hospital, I lost some patients to COVID. We had outbreaks on several units, and it was a real struggle. And man, when I would sit there and have to get up during the night, and God, I was tired, and it was rough. I get the people that feel some hopelessness at times, but I think the big thing for that is there are flares and there are remissions. So keep your eye on the prize, get back on your diet, get back on your meds, get back in the office and get your cocktails done. I mean,
Yes.
and self-care.
Yes, about self-care. How has anxiety or depression hit you through any of this?
Oh, horribly. So I have a woman that I go to who is an esthetician and get facials done, which is about the most relaxing thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Her spirit is just amazing. She's one of the most healing people I've ever met. She's one of those kind of intuitive healers. She's just wonderful. She's been a godsend. And then I also do massage therapy. So I just started doing that again because during COVID I did nothing. I mean, I was so terrified I was going to contract it and drag it into my facility or home. My mother lives with my family.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was so terrified I was going to drag it home from either the hospital or something else. So I was doing zero self-care during COVID, and I was working horrific hours. So I have just now started getting back to getting massages, seeing Lauren with her facials. And
would you say self-care is something that has truly helped you out of those dark moments of depression and anxiety?
Yes, and I also am a firm believer in meditation.
Yes, I was going to get to that next. I was going to ask how, because I feel like the mind, body, and soul are connected. And if you cannot get your mental state or your emotional state, like you have to have something to dedicate your love to. So, like a hobby or a job or, something to wake up to every day to go to and do. That helps you a lot. And then finding positive things and like stretching the body and working the body itself to make the body feel good in any way.
Yeah, and that is the big one that I'm struggling with right now. I did Pilates and absolutely loved it, but I got carpal tunnel on my right wrist and tennis elbow on my left arm, so I can't do Pilates anymore. So I am really struggling with the whole exercise realm. I decided the other day I'm going to start trying yoga.
Okay.
I've never done yoga, but, everything I've read, we're not supposed to do anything that, like running, because you're not supposed to jolt the bladder.
Yeah, I tried to run before. That about killed me.
Yeah, honestly, my bike has never bothered me, but I've never ridden long distances on it.
Well, start
I'm
slow.
kind of afraid of the bike.
Start slow with the bike. Start off at a couple blocks here, a couple blocks there, and like work your way up. You'll know your body and when you feel like, oh, I should have went that far, and just get a little bit of ground level with it. But I definitely feel like learning a hobby of some sort is always needed, and I'm learning to yoga or meditate myself. It's something I was always interested in, and I just recently kind of started. But I hear it does do wonders, so I'm going to give that a shot. I've always been more of like, I do like the rocks and crystals and, the self healing like that, or the sage. And those are good things, but they just help you detox like whatever energy you're bringing forth,
Yeah.
and that energy can be stress energy, and if you relieve that stress somehow or another, you can get a little better control, because stress makes it worse and adds more pressure, and you're always tightening and squeezing more when you're stressed.
Yes.
So,
and I do like to garden, so I've got, we do a lot of flowers.
I do
and I
gardening too.
started a fairy garden.
Ooh,
So,
I want to see
yeah,
that.
That's fun. So I've gotten that started. We moved into this house a couple of years ago, so the gardens are still a work in progress, but they're coming along. So,
but now you got something to
and
look forward to.
That's a great place to meditate too. If you have a place outside to just go out, find your zen.
Okay.
I meditate better outside than anywhere. Get your toes in the grass and just, kind of feel nature. I find it very helpful.
I like that idea. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are you a mother as well? I know you said you had a baby. How many babies, though?
I have 3.
Okay.
37, 35, and 24. Surprise!
They're far from babies now.
Yep, I am a grandma. I've got a 13-year-old grandson. So, yeah, they're all supportive. And I still, even if I can't eat something, I still make all the traditional stuff for all the holidays. And
yeah, that's the hardest part, is cooking for other people the food we know we can't eat.
Yeah, and honestly, a spoonful of it every now and then to have a taste doesn't bother me, and it's fine. I make it for them. I don't care.
Aww.
But that's kind of one of my big stress. I love to bake and cook, so that's a big stress reliever for me, and my nurses love it.
Yes.
I take them lots of cookies.
Lots of cookies. Ooh. So, at this point, I'm interested in trying that marshmallow root. I took some very good things from what you said, and I'm interested in learning more about your Hunter's disease, like how those Hunter lesions work, or I want to look into that. Definitely, I like that. If you could thank anybody for helping you through your journey and your trials, tribulations, what would you say to the person you would thank?
I think the person at the top of the list would be Margot, who was the nurse practitioner for Dr. Buttrick's office for years and years and years. She just retired, but she was the kindest soul, and you would go into the office and it was like she just knew. I mean, she'd say, "How are your symptoms doing?" You talk to her for 3 minutes and she'd be like, "Yeah, I think we need to do a cystoscopy. I think your ulcers are back." I mean, she'd been doing it for so long, she just knew exactly.
Yeah, with each patient, what was going on.
She was just amazing, and just gave so much helpful advice and was so calm and kind. She was just a rock for all of us. So she set a really nice tone for the office, and they have a new nurse practitioner there now named Anna, who is absolutely a joy. So far, I've only seen her the one time, and it was just in love with her at first sight. She's so down to earth and sweet, and she's got that same personality of just nothing's embarrassing. It's just, this is what it is, and this is
right. What it's good to have good care, though, because when you don't feel comfortable, or you feel like they're judging you, or they're not understanding you, and they're, then it doesn't feel the same. So to have that makes the battle so much different.
Oh, it does. I'm so grateful that I landed where I was, because their office, I called them on Thursday in a flare, a pretty bad flare, and they had me in at 1:45 on Friday for an installation.
Oh, see?
Yeah,
oh, yes.
They're amazing.
Shouts out to them.
Good things about their office.
Yeah, shouts out to them. Definitely. So, what would you say to someone who is kind of like ready to give up and is like, yeah, I can't do this?
We all go through that. That is completely normal. It's a chronic disease, and sometimes it just catches up with you. The important thing to do is cry, scream, whatever you need to do, get it out, then start over again. So find your normal, whatever that may be, and get whatever help you need. I would say definitely hook up with a group, like the Interstitial Cystitis Facebook groups, something like that, where you can vent to people that know what you're going through.
Yes, those groups have helped me quite a bit.
Oh, they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And I know the one that you and I are both in, how we met, is so non-judgmental. They're always giving advice. It's awesome. I've really gotten a lot of good information from them. I hope I give good information when people are struggling, and I have some advice for them. So I think that is important. And then just get online, research, get those food lists and the drink lists.
Yes, get educated.
And start going through there, because diet is key to this disease.
So if you don't get your diet in order and get some education on what that diet is to get in order, it makes the battle a lot harder as well.
It really does. It really does.
And if you
One
deny
packet of barbecue sauce can ruin your whole week.
Yep. If you deny treatments, it makes it harder. Definitely.
It does.
Yeah. Well, I've learned quite a bit with you, and it was a pleasure having you on. I look forward to doing maybe a follow-up with you to see if this flare goes back into remission.
Yes, and I'm going to start the aloe too, so
I want to know how that works.
I'll have some insight into whether that helped or not.
Yeah, does that marshmallow root come in like a milligram, or what would you suggest?
So I have, it is 100 vegan capsules, 960 milligrams per serving, and I get the Nature's Way marshmallow root capsules off of Amazon is where I got it from.
Okay, so 960 mgs. And you take that once a day or twice?
I do 2 capsules twice a day.
So 2 capsules in the morning, or 2 and then 2 at night?
2 capsules at night.
So 4 pills of those a day.
Yep.
Okay.
And I honestly don't do it every single day. I'm not. But I can tell you, when I was having a minor flare, like at work, and popped a couple of those, by that evening I felt better. I really do think it works.
Yes, I will be making me an Amazon order today. I promise that. And then I'll be giving that follow-up.
Yeah, there you go.
I for sure will be. Well, I look forward to your follow-up and having you next time. Until then, thank you for coming and tuning in to Sprinkle Some Love with a Cause.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.